The sun was too bright that afternoon, too bright for a day that would end in blood. But the silence inside the house felt heavy. The air was thick, like it was waiting for some time though. She placed the tray on the marble counter and called out softly, "Damien, are you home?" No answer. Her phone buzzed on the table. A message popped up on the screen. It wasn't hers, but her husband's. The screen lit up with a name she had learned to hate. Ava Monroe. "He's gone, baby. She's at home alone. Do it now." Olivia froze. Her breath caught in her throat. She opened the messages with shaking hands. There were months of texts, plans, secrets, pictures. Her husband and Ava, together, laughing, mocking her. When the front door slammed, she turned around. Damien stood there, eyes blazing, his tie loose, anger pulsing through his veins. "What the hell are you doing with my phone?" he roared. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "How could you do this to me, Damien, to our baby?" He stepped closer, his face twisted. "You ruined everything, Olivia. You were supposed to stay quiet, look perfect, but you had to dig, didn't you?" She backed away, her hands trembling. "I only wanted the truth." Behind him, sunlight hit the glass display. The reflection of a Japanese katana shimmered. Before she could scream, he grabbed it, the sword slicing through the air with a terrifying whistle. "Damien, no!" she screamed. The blade slashed across her arm as she tried to protect her belly. Blood spattered across the white marble floor. Her body fell against the counter, sliding down as pain ripped through her. Rosa, the housekeeper, rushed in from the hallway, her voice breaking. "Oh my God, Mrs. Bennett." Damien dropped the sword, his face pale. "She made me do it," he muttered. "Ava said." Rosa didn't listen. She grabbed her phone, dialing frantically. "Mr. Parker, please hurry. It's Olivia. She's bleeding." Minutes later, the heavy sound of tires screeched outside. A black limousine stopped at the gate. 3 men stepped out in tailored suits, Cole, Liam, and Noah Parker, Olivia's brothers in all but blood. Cole's voice thundered as he ran inside. "Where is she?" Rosa pointed to the kitchen. Blood. Everywhere. Cole fell to his knees beside Olivia, lifting her into his arms. "Stay with me, Liv. Please, stay with me." Olivia's lips trembled, whispering one broken sentence before she fainted. "Don't let him near my baby." Outside, the sirens wailed. The limousine door slammed shut as they rushed her toward Mount Sinai Hospital. And as the car disappeared down the road, Damien stood alone in the sunlight, hands shaking, blood on his face, realizing he might have just killed everything he ever owned. The limousine doors burst open in front of Mount Sinai Hospital. Nurses were already waiting with a stretcher. Olivia's body was pale, her dress soaked in blood that turned the white sheets crimson within seconds. Cole Parker jumped out first, his suit jacket still splattered with her blood. "She's pregnant. 6 months," he shouted. "Don't let her die." The ER doors swung wide. Lights flashed. Machines beeped. Everything blurred together. The panic, the shouting, the metallic smell of blood and antiseptic. Liam stood in the hallway, his hands shaking as he called their mother. "Margaret, it's bad. Really bad." Noah pressed both palms to the glass window of the emergency room. His face was stone, but a single tear slid down. He whispered to himself, "We should have come sooner." Inside, doctors cut away Olivia's torn dress. One nurse tried to find a pulse on the tiny life inside her belly. The monitor beeped slower, then flatlined. "Fetal heartbeat gone," the doctor said quietly. Cole slammed his fist against the wall outside, the sound echoing down the sterile corridor. Margaret Bennett arrived minutes later, stumbling into his arms. "My baby girl," she cried. "What did he do to her?" "She'll live," the doctor said, stepping out finally, "but she's lost the child." The hallway fell silent. Time froze. Olivia woke hours later, the room dark except for the faint glow of monitors. Her eyes flickered open. She looked around slowly, her voice weak. "Where's my baby?" Margaret sat beside her, unable to speak. Cole placed a hand on Olivia's shoulder. "You're safe now. That's what matters." Olivia turned her face to the side, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. "Safe? He killed our child, Cole. How can I ever be safe again?" Outside the window, the city kept moving. Cars, lights, people. Life went on as if nothing had happened. Noah entered, carrying her phone in a plastic evidence bag. "We'll get him, I promise you," he said firmly. "He won't walk away from this." Olivia closed her eyes, whispering through her pain. "Then make sure Ava pays too." Meanwhile, across town, Damien sat in a dim hotel room, staring at the bloodstains on his shirt. Ava poured him a drink, her red lips curling into a smirk. You did what needed to be done, she purred. Now forget her. We have deals to close. But Damien's hands trembled. There was so much blood, Ava. She cut him off. Don't think. Just move on. It's already too late. Back at the hospital, Cole met Detective Mark Ellis in the corridor. Charge him, Cole demanded. Attempted murder. Ellis nodded grimly. We'll need evidence. Find me proof he did it. Noah looked through the hospital window at his sister's pale face, determination burning in his eyes. Then I'll find it. Even if I have to tear down his entire company. Olivia lay back, her hand resting on the emptiness of her stomach. Her voice was barely a whisper. He took my baby. He took everything. And from that moment, something inside her broke, but another part, deep and silent, began to burn. Morning broke over New York with the smell of rain and headlines that bled lies across every newspaper stand. Billionaire's wife suffers mental breakdown. Attacks husband in jealous rage. Cole Parker slammed the paper onto the hospital table. They turned her into the monster, he growled. Liam stood beside him, scrolling through the online comments. Ava's PR team must have sent this story to every outlet. They're burying the truth before the police can even start. In her hospital bed, Olivia read the headlines herself, her eyes hollow. They think I hurt him, she whispered. They think I'm crazy. Margaret held her hand. Sweetheart, don't read that garbage. But Olivia couldn't look away. Each word felt like a blade reopening the wound inside her. Across town, Ava Monroe was on live television, sitting gracefully under studio lights. Her voice trembled just enough to sound sincere. Olivia has struggled emotionally since her pregnancy, she said, fake tears glistening. Damien only tried to protect her from herself. The host nodded sympathetically. So the attack wasn't intentional? Ava lowered her gaze, playing the victim. It was a tragic accident. Damien sat off camera, watching her perform. For a moment, guilt flickered through him, but then he saw the ratings spike on the monitor and convinced himself it was all worth it. Back at Mount Sinai, Detective Mark Ellis entered Olivia's room. Mrs. Bennett, we're reviewing evidence, he said. But without a clear video, the DA's office may delay charges. Cole stepped forward. Then we'll find the proof ourselves. Ellis nodded slowly. Just be careful. These people play dirty. Hours later, in a glass-walled conference room at Vision One Media, Liam paced while talking to his team. We can't outshout their PR machine, he said. But we can slow it down. Release a neutral story. Police investigate domestic dispute. Keep her name clean until we have evidence. Noah joined by video call from his tech office. I found fragments of the home security data. Someone deleted files at 2:37 p.m., right after the attack. I think I can restore them. Do it, Liam said, and keep it off the grid. That night, the hospital room was quiet except for the hum of machines. Olivia looked out the window, city lights reflecting in her tired eyes. He took my baby, she murmured. Now he's taking my name. Cole sat beside her. We'll take everything back, Liv, piece by piece. In another part of the city, Ava celebrated with champagne at a rooftop bar, laughing with investors. She's finished, she declared. By next week, Damien and I will announce our engagement. Damien smiled weakly, but the image of Olivia bleeding on the floor haunted him. When he glanced at his reflection in the glass, he swore he saw her eyes staring back at him. Back at the hospital, Noah's computer beeped. A single recovered video frame blinked onto the screen, a flash of sunlight, a sword, and Damien's shadow swinging down. Noah's voice shook as he whispered into the phone, Cole, I think I found it. And miles away, as Ava lifted her glass to toast victory, the real war had just begun. Rain streaked down the tall windows of the Parker family townhouse when Cole's phone rang just after midnight. Noah's voice came through, low and urgent. Cole, you need to see this. Now. Within 20 minutes, the three brothers gathered in Noah's office. Screens glowed blue across the dark room. On the center monitor flickered a shaky, grainy image. Sunlight flooding the marble kitchen, a flash of silver steel, a woman's cry, and Damien Cole's unmistakable silhouette. Cole gripped the edge of the desk. That's enough to bury him, Noah exhaled. It's only 3 seconds, but it proves the attack wasn't an accident. Liam rubbed his forehead. We leak this wrong, they'll twist it again. We need a plan that hits clean and hard. Behind them, the door opened softly. Margaret Bennett stood there, pale but composed. Olivia is awake, she said. She's asking for you." They followed her back to Mount Sinai. Inside the dim hospital room, Olivia looked fragile but clear-eyed. Her fingers traced the bandages along her arm. Cole leaned close. "We have something, Liv. A video." Her breath caught. "You mean, proof?" He nodded. "It's small, but real. The police will take it seriously." Tears welled in her eyes. "Then let's end this." But Noah shook his head. "Not yet. Ava Monroe will smell blood the moment we move. We need to understand who she's working for." Liam crossed his arms. "Silverline Group. I've seen her email header pop up in business circles. She's feeding them info about Cole Enterprises." Cole looked out the window, rain blurring the city lights. "They think they can destroy her and walk away clean. They have no idea who they're dealing with." Back downtown, Ava sipped espresso in a glass-walled penthouse, watching news of public sympathy swing toward Damien. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She answered coolly. A distorted voice spoke. "You're getting sloppy, Ava." The footage wasn't fully erased, her face drained of color. "Who is this?" "Someone who wants their payment before the cops find you," the voice said, then clicked off. She stared out at the city, panic curling through her perfect composure. At Mount Sinai, Olivia whispered to Margaret, "He'll never stop, Mom. Damien will come for me again." Margaret brushed her hair gently. "Then he'll face your brothers first." Hours later, in the Parker boardroom, the three men stood around a long oak table. Rain hammered the windows. Cole laid his hand flat. "We swear to protect her. We'll expose them both, legally, publicly, completely." Liam added, "Vision One controls 3 national outlets. When the time comes, the world will see that video everywhere." Noah raised his glass of black coffee. "For Olivia, for the child." They clinked cups instead of champagne, their faces carved with silent rage. Outside, lightning flashed, brief and violent, mirroring the war they'd just declared. Back at the hospital, Olivia finally slept, unaware of the storm gathering beyond the glass. Her phone, lying on the bedside table, lit up with a new message from an unknown sender. "You should have died that day." And as the rain poured harder over New York, the battle between truth and power began its first move. The next morning, New York woke to chaos. Every major network carried the same headline: Cole brothers manipulate press to frame Damien Cole. Cole Parker's jaw tightened as he watched the broadcast from his office. "She's fast," he muttered. Liam burst in, holding a phone. "Ava's team is paying bloggers, influencers, even news anchors. They're twisting the narrative again." Noah's voice came through the speaker. "I traced the accounts funding the smear campaign. Guess where they lead?" Cole already knew. Silverline Group. Meanwhile, at Mount Sinai, Olivia sat in her hospital bed, TV light flickering across her face. Ava's perfectly made-up smile filled the screen. "I only want peace," Ava told reporters. "Olivia needs help, not hate." Margaret turned off the TV in disgust. "That woman's pure poison." Olivia stared at her hands. "She's winning, Mom. Everyone believes her." "Not everyone," said a familiar voice. Cole entered the room, his expression calm but fierce. "We're taking this war to her turf, public perception." He dropped a folder on her lap. Inside were photos, legal papers, and one name circled in red: Ava Monroe. "We expose her lies," Cole continued. "Every stolen contract, every forged report she's touched." Liam arrived moments later, carrying a laptop. "Vision One's editors are ready. We'll run a story titled, 'The Woman Behind the Mask,' all sourced, all legal." Olivia looked from one brother to another. "If we do this, she'll come for me." Cole smiled grimly. "She already did. Now it's our turn." Across town, Ava watched her PR team type press releases like soldiers reloading weapons. "Keep the narrative clean," she ordered. "Make her look unhinged." Her assistant hesitated. "Ma'am, there's a leak. A journalist claims to have evidence of a financial scandal linked to Silverline." Ava's eyes narrowed. "Find out who's talking, and shut it down." By afternoon, Vision One released the exposé. Ava Monroe, the face of a lie. The article detailed how she funneled money from Cole Enterprises into offshore accounts. Screenshots, receipts, and a blurry video of Ava leaving a Silverline office painted a damning picture. Social media exploded. Justice for Olivia trended nationwide within hours. Liam grinned at his phone. She's losing control of the narrative. But victory came too soon. That evening, Olivia's hospital room phone rang. A soft, venomous voice whispered, "You think they can protect you? Wait until you're alone again." The line went dead. Cole called Detective Ellis immediately. Trace that call. It was her. Ellis replied, We'll handle it, but you should move Olivia somewhere secure. They transferred her to a private clinic under an alias. Noah installed new security systems himself. Late that night, Ava stood on her balcony, city lights glittering below. Her reflection in the glass looked almost inhuman, smiling but hollow. She whispered to herself, You took my reputation, Olivia. I'll take your peace. Far away, Olivia lay awake in her new room, clutching the ultrasound photo she still kept hidden under her pillow. Cole, Liam, Noah, she whispered to the empty dark. End this, for my baby. And outside, thunder rolled again, carrying the promise of war, and the first spark of revenge that would soon set everything ablaze. Rain tapped against the glass walls of the private clinic as night sank into the Hudson skyline. The room was quiet except for the steady rhythm of Olivia's breathing. For the first time since the attack, she wasn't in pain, but she couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed the anonymous phone call again and again. Wait until you're alone again. Those words crawled under her skin. Margaret sat in the chair beside her bed, knitting to keep her hands busy. You need rest, sweetheart? She murmured. Olivia shook her head. Rest won't bring my baby back, Mom. Or justice. From the hallway came the sound of footsteps. Cole entered with 2 coffee cups, his coat soaked. We've doubled the guards outside, he said, handing one to Margaret. No one gets in without clearance. Olivia looked up at him. How bad is it out there? Cole hesitated. Ava's people are trying to spin our article as fake. Silverline's lawyers are threatening to sue Vision One. Olivia let out a bitter laugh. She's fighting for her lies like they're oxygen. She's cornered, Cole said, and cornered people bite. Liam appeared at the doorway, phone in hand. Breaking news, he said grimly. Damien's been spotted in Los Angeles, meeting with Silverline's executives. He's selling off your properties. Olivia's pulse quickened. He can't do that. Half of that portfolio is still legally under my name. That's why we're moving, Cole said. Noah's setting up a sting. We'll track every transaction. By morning, we'll have proof of fraud. Margaret rose to her feet. You boys talk about justice, but what about her heart? She looked at Olivia. You're not a soldier, darling. You've suffered enough. Olivia met her mother's eyes. No, Mom, I was a victim once. Never again. Outside the clinic, Noah adjusted a surveillance drone, watching the perimeter from his laptop. The sky glowed with lightning, illuminating his determined face. If they come near her, they won't leave quietly, he muttered. Meanwhile, in a Los Angeles penthouse, Damien stared at Ava. You said the press would protect us, he snapped. Instead, I'm getting death threats. Ava poured herself a drink, unbothered. You're overreacting. Once Silverline finishes the buyout, you'll be untouchable. Damien leaned closer, his voice sharp. You promised to clean the evidence. Did you? Her smirk faltered for the first time. It's handled, she said quickly, turning away. Back in New York, Olivia stood by the window, gazing at the storm. The reflection staring back wasn't the fragile woman from before. It was someone harder, sharper, alive. Cole joined her, quiet. What's on your mind? She answered softly. I used to dream of saving this marriage. Now I dream of surviving it. Cole's eyes softened. Then you will. You're stronger than all of them. Lightning flashed across her face. No, brother, she whispered. I'm not just strong, I'm ready. At that moment, Noah's voice came through on speaker. Cole, I traced a financial trail to Silverline's offshore account. Ava's moving money tonight. Cole straightened. Send me the files. We end this tomorrow. Olivia turned from the window, determination blazing in her eyes. Because when a woman has lost everything, there's nothing left to fear. The morning sun burned through the storm clouds like fire breaking free from smoke. Inside the Parker townhouse, the brothers gathered around a conference table, cluttered with files, coffee cups, and laptop screens. Olivia stood at the head of the table, dressed in a simple black coat, her bandaged arm visible but steady. Noah clicked through his presentation. Here's the money trail. Silverline Group moved $3 million through an offshore account under the alias A. Monroe Holdings. The transactions matched Damien's fake property transfers. Cole leaned forward, eyes sharp. So we can prove fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Enough to bury them both. Liam nodded. I'll release a teaser story to the press, something subtle. Let the sharks start circling before we show the full footage. Olivia looked at each of them, her voice calm but firm. Do it. But I want to be part of this. Cole frowned. You should focus on recovery, Liv. She met his gaze. Recovery means reclaiming what they stole, from me and from my child. Silence filled the room. Then Cole nodded slowly. All right, you're in. That afternoon, Liam's media outlet posted a short article. Anonymous source alleges corporate fraud inside Cole Enterprises. The piece didn't name Ava or Damien directly, but the details were clear enough for the industry to whisper. By evening, phones rang non-stop in Silverline's executive offices. Ava stormed into the boardroom, heels clicking like gunfire. Who leaked this? She demanded. The CEO, a silver-haired man named Richard Alden, raised an eyebrow. You tell us, Miss Monroe. Your name's all over these documents. Ava forced a smile. Fake. All fake. I'll handle it. She left the building with her pulse racing. On her phone, dozens of notifications exploded. Blogs, finance sites, reporters calling her a traitor. Across town, Olivia watched the chaos unfold on the news. That's the first strike, she whispered. Cole smirked. Let her feel what exposure tastes like. Margaret entered with a tray of tea, setting it gently beside her daughter. Be careful, sweetheart. Power makes people desperate. I know, Olivia said softly. I used to be desperate too. For love. Now I'm desperate for truth. Meanwhile, Damien sat alone in his Los Angeles penthouse, half drunk, staring at his reflection in the dark window. His phone buzzed, a call from Ava. He answered, voice slurred. You said it was handled. Her tone was venom wrapped in silk. Pull yourself together, Damien. If you go down, so do I. He laughed bitterly. You already buried me the moment you made me pick up that sword. Ava froze. Don't ever say that again. But he didn't stop. You think you can outsmart everyone? Wait till they see what I recorded. She hung up before he could finish. For the first time, fear crept through her confidence. Back in New York, Noah called out from his desk. Cole, Damien just accessed his old encrypted drive. I think he's trying to blackmail her. Cole smiled thinly. Good, let them eat each other alive. Olivia stood, her hand resting on her stomach, eyes steady. No, she said quietly. I don't want chaos. I want justice. Outside, the city lights flickered as if bowing to her resolve. And as the night returned to New York, Olivia Bennett, once broken, had just declared war. The city didn't sleep that night. Somewhere between the glow of high-rises and the hum of traffic, every secret in the Cole empire began to tremble. In Los Angeles, Damien Cole sat hunched over his desk, eyes bloodshot, a flash drive spinning between his fingers. The video he'd kept hidden, the raw recording from the day of the attack, played on loop. It showed everything. His rage, Olivia's screams, Ava's voice shouting from behind the camera, "Do it, Damien, end it." He poured another drink, his hands shaking. You wanted proof, Ava, he muttered. Now I have proof of you. He typed a message. Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m. Malibu Pier. Bring cash, or this goes public. Across the country, Noah Parker's computer beeped. He'd been tracking Damien's encrypted activity all night. He adjusted his headset. Cole, he's making a move. Looks like blackmail. Ava's his target. Cole leaned back in his chair, thinking fast. Let him. If they meet, we can record the exchange. That's our chance to nail both of them. Meanwhile, Olivia was at the clinic garden, her breath forming small clouds in the cool morning air. She'd spent hours watching the sky lighten, trying to remember what peace used to feel like. Cole joined her, holding a cup of coffee. He's losing control, Cole said gently, and that means he's dangerous. Olivia stared at the horizon. So am I. That same morning in Beverly Hills, Ava Monroe dressed carefully, white blouse, dark glasses, a face that hid every trace of fear. Her assistant hovered nervously. Ms. Monroe, are you sure about meeting him? You could call the police. Ava fastened her pearl earrings. Damien won't talk to cops. He wants power, not justice. The drive to Malibu was quiet, waves crashing against the cliffs as the sun rose over the Pacific. She found Damien waiting at the end of the pier, his suit wrinkled, his eyes haunted. He tossed the flash drive in the air and caught it again. Everything you told me was a lie. He said bitterly, you wanted me to destroy her so you could take the company. Ava crossed her arms. And you wanted someone to blame. Don't act like a victim now. Pay me, Damien hissed. $5 million. Today, or I send this video to every news outlet in the country. Ava smiled thinly. You really think I came alone? Two men in black suits appeared behind her. Damien's eyes widened. You brought security? Insurance, she said, turning away. But before her men could move, a black SUV screeched to a stop at the end of the pier. Noah's drone hovered overhead, cameras rolling. Cole stepped out, voice booming. "It's over, Ava." Ava spun around, her calm cracking. "What is this?" "Justice," Cole said. "Smile. You're live." The drone camera zoomed in, broadcasting the confrontation straight to Liam's newsroom feed. The world was watching. Ava's eyes flickered with fury. She grabbed the flash drive from Damien's hand and hurled it into the ocean. "You'll never prove anything," she screamed. Damien lunged after her, but the pier's railing gave way. He fell hard, hitting the lower platform, screaming in pain. Cole rushed forward, shouting for help. And as the tide swallowed the evidence and sirens echoed in the distance, one truth became clear. There would be no peace until someone paid in full. Waves crashed hard against the Malibu pier as police sirens screamed closer. Damien Cole lay sprawled on the lower deck, his suit torn, blood seeping from a gash on his forehead. He groaned, clutching his side as the tide splashed over his shoes. Ava Monroe stood frozen at the top of the pier, face pale, hands trembling. For the first time, the calm, cunning PR queen looked like a terrified child. Cole Parker stepped between them, rain dripping down his coat. "Step back, Ava," he warned. "You've done enough." She spun on him, eyes wild. "You think this makes you the hero? You have no proof now. That drive is gone." Cole smirked. "You're wrong." He pointed upward. "My brother's drone has been recording the entire time." Ava's gaze darted to the buzzing drone above the water. Her lips parted in disbelief. "No?" From the parking lot, Noah's voice came through Cole's earpiece. "Got it. Live footage streaming straight to Liam's servers." Cole leaned closer, his voice cold. "You wanted fame, Ava. Now the world finally sees the real you." Police officers stormed onto the pier, pulling Damien to his feet. He winced as they cuffed him, spitting seawater. "I didn't mean to. She told me to," he shouted, pointing at Ava. But Ava snapped back, her mask slipping completely. "You fool. You think anyone will believe a drunk who stabbed his pregnant wife?" The crowd that had gathered along the beach gasped. Phones recorded everything. Reporters shouted questions. "Mr. Cole, did you really attack your wife?" "Miss Monroe, are you part of the cover-up?" Ava shoved past the police, but one officer stopped her. "Ma'am, you're under investigation for corporate fraud and conspiracy to obstruct justice. You'll need to come with us." Cole stepped back, watching as they led both of them away in separate cars. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to breathe. Later that afternoon, the news exploded. Damien Cole arrested. Shocking video surfaces of Malibu pier confrontation. Clips of Ava screaming and Damien bleeding played on every channel. At Vision One headquarters, Liam leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply. "That's it. It's over." But Noah shook his head. "Not yet. The video from the pier is strong, but the original footage from Olivia's house, the one Damien tried to sell, is still at the bottom of the ocean." Cole crossed his arms. "Then we find it. Every truth deserves to surface." Meanwhile, at the private clinic, Olivia watched the news in silence. Her mother sat beside her, tears of relief running down her cheeks. "It's done, darling. He can't hurt you anymore." Olivia stared at the screen, voice steady but distant. "He already did, but maybe now I can start to heal." Hours later, Damien sat in an interrogation room, his wrists chained to the table. Detective Mark Ellis dropped a folder in front of him. "Attempted murder, fraud, obstruction. You've dug yourself deep, Mr. Cole." Damien laughed weakly. "She wanted this. Ava wanted chaos. She used me." Ellis leaned forward. "Then maybe you'll testify against her." Damien looked up, eyes glassy. "Testify? What's the point? I've already lost everything." He slumped back in his chair as the camera light blinked red. And miles away, in a quiet room filled with morning light, Olivia whispered a single word that would define the rest of her life: freedom. Morning sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the Parker townhouse, touching everything it once couldn't reach. The quiet corners, the dust-covered piano, the framed photos of better days. Olivia Bennett stood in the center of the living room, her arm no longer bandaged, her eyes steady and clear. Margaret entered with a tray of breakfast. "You're stronger every day," she said softly. Olivia smiled faintly. "Strength comes when you have no other choice." Across the city, the news looped footage of the Malibu pier confrontation. Damien Cole's mugshot flashed beside Ava Monroe's perfectly staged booking photo. Reporters called it the fall of the power couple. At Vision One Media, Liam Parker reviewed new ratings. We hit 20 million views in 48 hours, he told Cole. People love a story where justice wins. Cole didn't smile. Justice isn't done yet. Ava still has her claws in Silverline. Meanwhile, inside a gray holding cell, Ava stared at the wall, her makeup smudged but her pride intact. A lawyer sat opposite her. Silverline's cutting ties, he said. You're on your own. Ava's laugh was low and cold. They think I'll go down alone? Not a chance. She leaned closer. If I'm sinking, I'll drag every last one of them with me. That same afternoon, Olivia visited Mount Sinai one last time. The smell of disinfectant and soft beeping of machines filled her with memories she wished she could erase. She placed a small bouquet on the windowsill. For you, she whispered to the child she'd never meet. You gave me the strength to fight. Outside the hospital, reporters waited like vultures. Cameras flashed, microphones waved. Mrs. Bennett, how does it feel to see your husband behind bars? Do you have anything to say to Ava Monroe? Olivia paused, her calm presence disarming them all. I only hope everyone watching learns one thing. Silence protects no one. The clip went viral within hours. Comments flooded social media. Queen energy. She's stronger than all of them. Olivia rises trended worldwide. At the Parker offices, Noah worked late, scanning new financial leaks. Cole, he said through the intercom, you might want to see this. Ava's trying to contact reporters from inside jail. She's threatening to release company secrets. Cole rubbed his temples. Let her. Every move she makes digs her deeper. But Olivia disagreed. No, she said firmly. I want her stopped, not ruined, not destroyed. Just stopped, so she can't hurt anyone else. Margaret, sitting nearby, smiled through tears. That's who you've always been, Liv. You don't want revenge, you want peace. That night, Olivia walked alone through Central Park. The air was crisp, the city lights distant but kind. For the first time in months, she could breathe without fear. At the same time, across town, Ava sat in her cell, phone in hand, dialing a familiar number. Damien, she whispered into the receiver. It's me. Static crackled. Then a voice answered. Damien Cole is dead. Ava froze, her hand trembling. What did you say? The line went dead, and as the phone slipped from her fingers, Ava realized her empire wasn't just crumbling, it was cursed. The morning broke gray and heavy over Los Angeles County Jail. Guards moved quickly through the halls, their radios buzzing with the same grim message. Cell Block C, inmate Damien Cole found unresponsive. By 8 a.m., every news outlet had the story. Former billionaire Damien Cole found dead in jail cell. Suicide or cover-up? At Vision One Media in New York, Liam Parker nearly dropped his coffee. He's dead? Noah looked up from his computer, frowning. Confirmed. The warden says overdose. But the tox report's missing. Cole stepped in, face unreadable. That's too convenient. He knew too much about Silverline and about Ava. Across town, Olivia sat at her kitchen table, watching the news in silence. The anchor's voice trembled as he spoke. Sources close to the investigation suggest foul play. Damien Cole was scheduled to testify against Ava Monroe next week. Margaret turned off the TV quickly. You don't need to see this, sweetheart. Olivia shook her head. He's gone, Mom, but I don't feel peace, just emptiness. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It wasn't suicide. Meet me tonight, Hudson Docks, 9 p.m. She showed it to Cole. It could be a trap, he warned. Or the truth, Olivia replied. If someone helped him die, I want to know. By nightfall, the Hudson River shimmered under the streetlights. Olivia stood in a long coat, wind whipping through her hair. Cole waited in the car nearby, engine running. A figure stepped from the shadows. Detective Mark Ellis. You shouldn't be here alone, he said. Did you send the message? She asked. He nodded. Damien didn't overdose. The security cameras in his block were wiped. Someone wanted him silenced. Who? Silverline. The pattern fits. Damien was about to hand them over to federal investigators. They couldn't risk it. Olivia clenched her fists. So they killed him. Ellis hesitated. There's more. We found a letter in his cell, addressed to you. He handed her a sealed envelope. The paper trembled in her hands as she unfolded it. Olivia, I don't deserve forgiveness. I was blinded by greed, by Ava's lies. I lost our child, our love, and my soul. If you ever find peace, I hope it's somewhere I can't hurt you again. Damien tears fell silently onto the page. Cole approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. He's finally gone. It's over. But Olivia's voice was distant. No, Cole, it's not over until every person behind Silverline answers for what they did. Across the city, Ava sat alone in her cell, reading the same headline on a newspaper. Damian Cole dead, investigation underway. For the first time, her confidence faltered. "You idiot," she whispered. "You weren't supposed to die." A guard passed by her cell. "Phone call for you, Monroe." She lifted the receiver. A deep voice spoke on the other end. "You're next." Ava froze, her knuckles whitening around the phone. And as thunder cracked over New York, Olivia's war for justice had just found its next target. The next morning, fog blanketed New York like a ghost that refused to leave. Olivia Bennett sat in her living room, Damian's letter spread open on the table before her. The ink had smudged slightly where her tears had fallen the night before. She read it again, searching between the lines for answers. The guilt, the confession, the unfinished truth. Cole Parker entered quietly, setting down a folder. "Detective Ellis confirmed what we suspected. Damian didn't overdose. Someone helped him die." Olivia didn't look up. "Silverline," Cole nodded grimly. "We've traced a payment from a shell company, $500,000 wired to an unnamed contractor 2 days before Damian's death. Guess who signed it?" "Ava," Olivia said flatly. Cole opened the folder, revealing printed emails and surveillance stills. "The name she used is fake, but we have footage of her lawyer delivering the payment envelope." Olivia's voice hardened. "So she killed him before he could confess." "Maybe not," Cole said. "There's something else." He slid a second envelope across the table, unmarked, sealed in cheap brown paper. "This came to Vision One's office this morning. No return address." Olivia frowned, opening it carefully. Inside was a flash drive and a short note written in block letters. Damian wasn't alone that day. Someone else saw everything. Her pulse quickened. A witness? Liam joined them via video call from the newsroom. "I checked the flash drive," he said. "It's security footage from a neighboring property, the gardener's home next door to your old mansion. It shows part of the kitchen window." Cole inserted the drive into his laptop. The screen flickered to life. A grainy image time-stamped the day of the attack. Through the glass, Damian's silhouette lunged forward, and behind him a flash of another figure. Not Ava. Not Rosa. A man. Olivia leaned closer. "Who is that?" Noah's voice cut in over speakerphone. "I ran a quick facial match. His name's Eric Vaughn, former Silverline contractor. He disappeared the week after Damian's arrest," Cole muttered. "They had a fixer on site. He probably cleaned the crime scene." Olivia clenched her fists. "Then he's the key. Find him." Across town in a dingy motel room, Eric Vaughn sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through channels nervously. The news blared Damian's death again. He turned it off, muttering, "They'll come for me next." A knock at the door made him jump. "Room service," a voice called. He hesitated, then opened it, only to find Ava Monroe standing there, dressed in civilian clothes, eyes cold as glass. "You talk," she said softly. "You die." Eric stumbled back. "You can't touch me. I sent them everything." Ava smiled, her tone calm. "Then let's make sure you never send anything else." Gunfire erupted. The TV flickered to static. Back in New York, Olivia's phone rang. "Detective Ellis. We just got word. The witness, Eric Vaughn, was found dead in a motel outside D.C. Olivia's breath hitched. "They silenced him too." Cole gritted his teeth. "Then we go after the one voice they can't silence, yours." And as Olivia stared at the city skyline, her reflection in the glass no longer showed fear. It showed fire. Rain poured over Manhattan like the city itself was washing away its sins. Inside the Vision One media building, Cole Parker slammed his fist against the table. "They killed the witness. Again." Liam glanced up from his computer, face pale under the flickering light. "Eric Vaughn's death is already trending. The police are calling it a robbery. No stolen wallet, no fingerprints, just silence." Noah's voice came through the speaker from his tech lab. "That's not all. I decrypted part of Damian's encrypted drive. There's a folder labeled Ava Operations. It details Silverline's cover-ups, bribery, fraud, offshore laundering, everything." Cole leaned forward. "If we leak this, it burns her and Silverline at once." Olivia entered quietly, wearing a navy coat, her hair tied back. "No leaks," she said. "Not yet." Liam turned to her. "Liv, this is enough to end her career." Olivia shook her head. "I don't want just her career. I want the truth in court. I want her to face it in front of the world, the same way she made me face humiliation." Cole nodded slowly. "Then we build a case. Real evidence. Real justice." Across town, in a holding cell at Rikers, Ava Monroe's world was cracking. She paced her small cell like a trapped lioness, her hair unkempt, her hands trembling. Her lawyer entered, clutching a file. They're reopening Damien's case as a homicide. The feds are linking Silverline to money laundering. Ava's voice broke. Tell them I'll cooperate. I'll give them everything. The lawyer sighed. If you do that, they'll bury you under witness protection. You'll disappear. Disappear is better than rot, she hissed. He left without another word. Ava sat on her cot, staring at the concrete wall, whispering to herself, You won't win, Olivia. You never win. Meanwhile, Olivia stood in her old studio downtown, where sketches and color swatches from her design days still hung. Dust floated through the air. This was where her dream had once begun, before marriage, before betrayal. Margaret appeared in the doorway, holding a cup of tea. It feels different being here again, doesn't it? Olivia nodded. I lost myself somewhere in all the pain, but maybe it's time to start creating again. Margaret smiled through tears. Then start, sweetheart. Let creation heal what destruction stole. Olivia walked to her drafting table and began sketching. A home, sunlight through open windows, a woman standing free. Her hand trembled but didn't stop. That evening, the Parker brothers gathered for dinner. Liam lifted his glass. To the new phase. The case goes public tomorrow. Noah grinned. And our servers are ready for whatever Ava tries next. Cole looked at Olivia, proud. You sure you're ready for the storm? Olivia met his eyes. I'm not afraid of storms anymore. Across the river, Ava sat by the small barred window of her cell, watching the lightning split the sky. She reached under her pillow and pulled out a small hidden phone, the one the guards hadn't found. She dialed a number. It's time, she whispered. If I'm going down, I'm taking them with me. And as thunder rolled across the city, two women prepared for battle. One to destroy, and one to rise. The next morning, the city woke to chaos again. News banners screamed across every screen. Anonymous leaks exposed Parker Brothers' secret tactics. Cole Parker stood in the Vision 1 control room, disbelief spreading across his face. That's impossible. Those files were on a private drive. Noah's voice came through the comm line, tense. She hacked us, or someone did it for her. Liam scrolled through the leak on his monitor. She flipped the script. Now it looks like we manipulated the press for revenge. Cole's jaw clenched. Ava Monroe. She made her move. Meanwhile, in the courthouse basement, Ava sat across from federal agents, her orange jumpsuit freshly pressed, her smile razor sharp. I have information, she told them, sliding a thin folder across the table. You want Silverline? I can give you everything. But I want immunity and a press statement clearing my name. The lead agent exchanged a look with his partner. You're in no position to negotiate, Miss Monroe. Ava leaned back. Then you'll lose your only chance to bring down one of the biggest fraud networks in the country. Her eyes gleamed. You decide. Back in New York, Olivia Bennett watched the news unfold from her studio. The leak had painted the Parkers as vengeful billionaires. Reporters now questioned her story all over again. Margaret rushed in, breathless. They're attacking you again, Liv. You have to respond. Olivia turned off the television. No, not this time. Let her burn herself out. Cole arrived minutes later, his expression hard but weary. Our legal team's handling the smear, but you need to stay inside until this settles. Olivia looked him straight in the eyes. Hiding never saved me before. I'm going to the press conference tomorrow. Cole hesitated. That's suicide. No, she said calmly. That's truth. Across the country, in a dim motel near the border, a man watched everything from an old laptop. The Silverline CEO, Richard Alden. He poured whiskey into a glass, smirking. Ava thinks she's playing us, he said to his bodyguard. But when she speaks, she'll expose herself, not us. Back in her cell, Ava's attorney returned. The feds agreed to review your proposal, he said. But they'll need one more confirmation before granting immunity. Ava smiled faintly. Then they'll have it. That night, Cole gathered his brothers and Olivia in the townhouse living room. The air was thick with tension. Liam spoke first. If Ava testifies, she'll try to drag all of us into the mud. Noah added quietly. But if we release Damien's decrypted files before she speaks, we can control the story again. Cole turned to Olivia. What do you want to do? She stared out the window, lightning flashing across the skyline. I want the world to see what power does to people who think they can buy truth. Let her talk. Then we'll answer. The next morning, Olivia walked into her old office at Vision One. Staff stopped working as she passed, whispering. She climbed onto the press stage, facing the cameras. Sometimes the truth takes longer to speak, she began, but it never disappears. Across town, Ava adjusted her orange jumpsuit, preparing to testify on live television. And as both women stepped into the spotlight, the city held its breath, because only one of them would walk away clean. The day of reckoning arrived beneath a sky so clear it almost felt cruel. Every major network in America broadcast the same headline: Ava Monroe testifies, exclusive live coverage. At Vision One headquarters, Olivia Bennett adjusted the microphone clipped to her blazer. Liam paced nearby, his phone buzzing non-stop. Every outlet streaming the feed, he said. You sure you want to do this live? Olivia met his eyes. I spent years being silent. If I'm going to speak, the world should hear it. Cole entered, tightening his tie. No matter what she says, we'll have Damien's decrypted files ready. Once she lies, Noah will upload the proof. Across town, cameras flashed as Ava Monroe stepped out of a black transport van in handcuffs. Her orange jumpsuit was gone. The feds had allowed her a navy blazer for optics. She looked like a fallen queen, desperate to reclaim her crown. Inside the courthouse, reporters packed the benches. The prosecutor stood ready. State your full name, he said. Ava Catherine Monroe. And your occupation? Her lips twitched. Former Director of Public Relations, Cole Enterprises. The questioning began. Ava played her role flawlessly, voice trembling, tears falling on cue. I tried to help Olivia, she said softly, but she was unstable. Damien wanted to protect her. Everything spiraled out of control. On the live feed, millions watched. Comment sections exploded. Maybe Ava's telling the truth. She sounds so convincing. In the Vision One control room, Liam clenched his jaw. She's manipulating the nation in real time. Olivia, seated in the studio across the city, watched quietly, her expression unreadable. Then came the twist. Ava looked straight at the camera and said, The Parker brothers fabricated evidence. They used their media empire to destroy me. They framed Damien for a crime he didn't commit. The courtroom erupted in gasps. The prosecutor shouted, Order, but the words were already out, echoing through every television in the country. Liam slammed his fist against the console. She's turning it back on us. Cole's phone buzzed. It was Noah. Uploading now, he said. Everything Damien had on Silverline, emails, wire transfers, recordings, the truth goes live in 30 seconds. Olivia stood up. Then it's time. She walked to the podium of Vision One's press room as the broadcast split-screened her face beside Ava's testimony. Olivia took a slow breath and began. For years, I believed love could fix cruelty. I believed silence could stop pain. But monsters thrive in silence. Today, that ends. Behind her, screens lit up with evidence. Ava's voice in recorded calls, contracts signed under false names, Damien's own confession logs. The world watched as the lies crumbled. In the courtroom, Ava froze, her confident mask cracking. That's fake, she screamed. You can't. But the prosecutor already had the footage on his tablet. The judge's gavel struck. Miss Monroe, you are under arrest for obstruction and conspiracy. The cameras zoomed in on her face, stunned, pale, defeated. Across town, Olivia finished her speech. Justice isn't about revenge, it's about truth finally breathing. Reporters erupted into applause, hashtags flooded the internet. Justice for Olivia, Ava exposed. And as the broadcast ended, one woman fell while another finally began to rise. The courtroom emptied slowly, the air thick with the aftershock of truth. Reporters swarmed outside like bees chasing blood, shouting questions into the chaos. Ava Monroe, do you deny the recordings? Olivia Bennett, how does justice feel? Olivia didn't answer. She stood by the courthouse doors, the cool spring air brushing her face. Cole joined her, his voice low. It's done. The world finally knows. But Olivia didn't smile. Not yet, she whispered. There's still something coming. I can feel it. Hours later, the Parker brothers gathered at Vision One headquarters. Screens across the walls replayed snippets of news coverage. Liam scrolled through social feeds. We're trending worldwide, he said. Ava's finished. Noah's tone was cautious. Maybe, but she's not the kind who goes quietly. Cole nodded. She's always got a card left to play. And miles away, in a federal detention center, Ava Monroe proved them right. She sat in a cold interrogation room, her wrists cuffed, a smirk curling across her lips. 2 FBI agents entered, setting a thick file on the table. Ms. Monroe, one said, you've been charged with multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. Anything you'd like to say before we transfer you? Ava leaned back, feigning innocence. Yes, you should probably check your email. The younger agent frowned, unlocking his tablet. His face went pale. What the hell is this? Ava smiled sweetly. Insurance. She'd done it. While in custody, she'd arranged for a final leak, a set of doctored files designed to frame the Parkers for illegal surveillance, money laundering, and tampering with court evidence. Within minutes, news alerts exploded again. New allegations against Parker families surface. At Vision 1, alarms blared across Noah's systems. She's framing us, he shouted. Someone inside the bureau leaked her fake data. Cole slammed his hand on the desk. Shut it down. Liam turned to Olivia, panic flashing across his face. If the public believes this, everything we built, your justice, it's gone. But Olivia didn't panic. She stood still, her voice calm, almost eerily steady. Let her lie. She's fighting ghosts now. Across the country, Ava watched the chaos unfold on a TV in the holding area. The guards tried to switch the channel, but she kept smiling, whispering to herself, You thought you won, Olivia, but I always win. Her smile vanished when the warden entered, holding a phone. Miss Monroe, your immunity deal's revoked. The Bureau traced your leak to a hidden server registered in your name. Ava's face drained of color. That's impossible. I used proxies. The warden interrupted. The proxies were traced to Silverline's CEO, Richard Alden. He just confessed on record that you orchestrated everything. For the first time, Ava Monroe had no words. Back in New York, Cole's phone rang. It was Detective Mark Ellis. You're clear. Silverline folded. Their CEO turned state witness. He gave up Ava to save himself. Liam laughed in disbelief. She betrayed everyone, including her own boss. Olivia looked toward the window, where sunlight spilled across the city. No, she said softly. She betrayed herself the moment she thought lies could outlive truth. And as Ava screamed from her cell, realizing her empire was ashes, Olivia finally exhaled. Free, not victorious, but whole. For the first time in months, Olivia Bennett woke to silence. No buzzing phones. No reporters outside her door. Just the soft hum of morning, sunlight spilling through the curtains of her small Manhattan apartment. She lay still for a moment, listening to the city breathe. Car horns, distant laughter, the pulse of life returning after chaos. Margaret entered quietly, carrying a mug of coffee. You didn't sleep much, did you? Olivia smiled faintly. It's hard to rest when peace feels like a stranger. Her mother sat beside her. Peace isn't a stranger, darling. It's just been waiting for you to open the door. Outside, the world moved on. Ava Monroe's sentencing hearing filled every screen. Reporters described her as the mastermind behind one of the most shocking corporate scandals in a decade. Olivia watched from the couch. The once flawless woman now looked small, almost unrecognizable, her arrogance replaced by silence. When the judge read the sentence, 25 years without parole, the courtroom erupted. Cole called from the courthouse steps. It's official. She's gone. Olivia nodded slowly, her voice soft. Then maybe I can finally live again. That afternoon, she walked through Central Park, the wind tugging gently at her coat. For months, she'd avoided places that reminded her of the past, but now each step felt lighter. Children played near the fountain, their laughter echoing through the air. One little boy, chasing a red balloon, tripped and fell. Olivia rushed over instinctively, helping him up. You okay? She asked. The boy nodded, clutching the balloon string. Thanks, lady. His mother smiled from a bench nearby. He's always running too fast. Olivia returned the smile, her heart swelling with something she hadn't felt in so long, warmth. Later that evening, she visited her old design studio. The Parkers had reopened it for her under her own name, Olivia Bennett Interiors. The space smelled of fresh paint and possibility. Cole joined her, rolling up his sleeves. Feels good seeing your name back on the door, he said. Olivia ran her fingers over the gold lettering. It feels real. He handed her an envelope. From the settlement, Damien's assets have been liquidated. The court awarded you full restitution. Olivia hesitated. Money won't fix what's broken. No, Cole agreed, but it'll help build what's next. She looked around the studio, imagining colors, textures, sunlight on glass, a future taking shape. That night, she sat by her window, writing in a small leather journal, something her therapist had suggested. Her handwriting was slow but sure. I survived love twisted into violence. I survived betrayal dressed as charm. But most of all, I survived myself, the part of me that once believed silence was strength. Margaret peeked in from the doorway. Writing again? Olivia smiled. Living again. As the city lights shimmered below, she whispered to herself, this isn't the end. It's the first page. And somewhere beyond the noise and memory, the faintest spark of happiness flickered, fragile, real, and hers alone. And for the first time in years, Olivia Bennet didn't feel broken. She felt free. Spring swept through New York with a gentleness Olivia Bennet hadn't felt in years. Cherry blossoms lined the streets, painting the city pink, as if even the air itself was learning how to heal. Inside Olivia Bennet Interiors, sunlight glowed against the fresh walls. New sketches covered her desk, modern, open designs full of color and life. She adjusted her glasses, scribbling notes on a blueprint, when her assistant poked her head in. Liv, there's a client here to see you. No appointment. Olivia frowned. At this hour? Before she could stand, the man stepped into the room himself. Tall, mid-40s, confidence that came without arrogance. He carried himself like someone who didn't need to prove anything. Miss Bennet? His voice was calm, deep. I'm Ryan Matthews. The name stirred faint recognition. Matthews Group? She asked. He smiled. Among other things, I heard what you've been through, and I saw your work. Your designs have heart. I'd like you to design something for me. Olivia blinked. For your company? For me, he said simply. A home. I'm rebuilding one in Hudson Valley. Something quiet, something honest. She studied him for a moment, suspicious of kindness from strangers. Why me? Ryan's gaze didn't waver. Because I know what it's like to start over after losing everything. The words hit harder than she expected. For a moment, the office fell silent, except for the faint hum of the city below. All right, she said finally. Tell me about this house. Weeks passed. The project took her to the Hudson Valley again, the same river that had once witnessed her pain. But this time, it greeted her with light. Ryan's property sat atop a hill overlooking endless green. They spent hours walking through empty rooms, discussing design ideas, sometimes not talking at all. She learned he'd built his fortune in renewable energy, lost his wife to illness, and raised 2 children alone. His quiet strength mirrored her own survival. One afternoon, while measuring windows, Olivia tripped over a rolled carpet. Ryan caught her instinctively, steady hands at her waist. She laughed nervously. Guess I'm still clumsy, he smiled softly. No, you're human. Something unspoken passed between them, something warm, cautious, real. Back in New York that evening, Margaret noticed the faint glow on Olivia's face. You look lighter, her mother teased. Olivia tried to hide her smile. It's nothing, Mom, he's just kind. Kindness is where love starts, Margaret said gently. As summer approached, the house neared completion. Ryan invited her to see the final sunset from the terrace. The sky burned gold and rose above the valley. Olivia stood beside him, feeling the breeze brush her hair. You brought this place back to life, Ryan said quietly, just like you did for yourself. She looked out at the horizon. Maybe life isn't about forgetting what broke you. Maybe it's about building something beautiful on top of it. He turned to her, smiling. Then here's to beauty born from ruin. And as the sun dipped below the hills, Olivia Bennet realized the future had finally opened its door, and this time she was ready to walk through it. By midsummer, the Hudson Valley house was finished. Morning light poured through the tall glass windows, touching every corner Olivia Bennet had designed. Soft neutrals, open spaces, a harmony of peace and purpose. Ryan Matthews stood beside her, admiring the final room. You gave this place a soul, he said. Olivia smiled. No, Ryan, you already had one. I just gave it walls and windows. He laughed quietly, but his eyes lingered on her a moment too long. She looked away, heart beating faster than it should. After years of silence and survival, Olivia felt something shift, something unfamiliar but welcome. The air around her wasn't heavy anymore. For the first time since the attack, she could breathe without remembering blood or betrayal. They celebrated the project's completion with a small dinner on the terrace overlooking the valley. Ryan poured sparkling water into 2 glasses, raising his in a toast. To new beginnings, he said. Olivia hesitated, then touched her glass to his, and to letting the light back in. As the night deepened, laughter came easily. The smell of rain mixed with fresh-cut grass. Fireflies blinked along the trees, and when the conversation paused, their eyes met in quiet understanding. No rush, no fear, just connection. But peace never lasted long in Olivia's world. The next morning, Liam called from New York, his tone urgent. "Liv, are you sitting down?" "I'm fine," she said, uneasy. "What's wrong?" He sighed. A prison transport van flipped outside Albany. 2 inmates escaped during the chaos. One of them was Ava Monroe. Olivia froze. "That's impossible. She was sentenced to 25 years. Cole's voice cut in from the background. "It's true. The feds are swarming the area. They think she had help, maybe someone from Silverline who wasn't arrested." Olivia's pulse pounded in her ears. "So she's out there?" "For now," Cole said grimly. "You need protection. We're sending security to Hudson Valley immediately." When Olivia hung up, Ryan noticed the color drain from her face. "What happened?" "She escaped," Olivia whispered. "Ava's gone." Ryan set down his coffee. "Then she'll come after you." Olivia looked out the window toward the hills. Maybe, or maybe she's already watching. That night she couldn't sleep. The valley was too quiet, the darkness too thick. Every creak in the house made her heart race. She thought she saw movement beyond the tree line, a shadow slipping through the fog. Ryan insisted she stay at his guest house under guard. "You're not alone anymore," he said firmly. Olivia met his gaze. "That's what scares me." He reached for her hand. "You survived her once. You'll survive her again. But this time, you have me." Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the faint echo of something unseen. A car engine idling far down the road, headlights briefly flashing before disappearing into darkness. Olivia turned toward the window, her reflection trembling in the glass. Because even in the bloom of love, the past had found a way to knock on her door again. Darkness fell early over the Hudson Valley that night, thick and heavy like a curtain no one dared to pull back. Inside Ryan Matthews' hilltop home, the lights glowed warm, the air filled with quiet conversation. Olivia Bennett trying her best to pretend she wasn't terrified. Cole had sent 2 private security guards, who patrolled the perimeter with flashlights. Still, Olivia's heart beat unevenly. Every sound, a snapping twig, a rustle in the wind, sent a chill crawling up her spine. Ryan poured her tea, his voice calm. "She can't reach you here, Liv. There's security, cameras, alarms." Olivia interrupted softly. "She's reached me before, Ryan, when no one thought she could." He didn't argue. He just placed a hand over hers, steady and warm. "Then she'll find a different Olivia this time." Outside, thunder rolled across the valley. At exactly 10:47 p.m., one of the guards radioed in. "All clear by the east fence." His voice crackled through static. "Wait, what?" Then silence. Ryan grabbed his phone. "Daniel, report." No answer. Olivia's pulse spiked. "Ryan?" He motioned for her to stay put, but she rose anyway, following him down the hallway toward the front entry. The storm raged louder now, rain slashing against the glass doors. When Ryan opened the door, lightning flashed, and for a split second a figure stood at the edge of the driveway, drenched, motionless, watching. Ava Monroe. Olivia's breath caught. Even from that distance, she recognized the cold precision in Ava's stance, the haunting calm of someone with nothing left to lose. Ryan slammed the door shut. Upstairs, now. They bolted up the stairs as the security team regrouped. One guard reported from his earpiece. "We've got movement outside. East side. She's alone, armed." Cole's voice came through Olivia's phone, shouting over static. "Liv, the state police are 5 minutes out. Stay inside. Don't engage." But Ava didn't wait 5 minutes. The power cut out. The entire house plunged into blackness. Olivia clutched Ryan's arm, whispering, "She's inside." Somewhere below them, glass shattered. Footsteps echoed up the stairs, slow, deliberate. Ava's voice floated through the dark. "You took everything from me, Olivia. Now I'm here to take it back." Ryan reached into a drawer and pulled out a small handgun. "Stay behind me," he whispered. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the landing. For one terrifying heartbeat, Ava stood only 10 feet away, soaked, hair clinging to her face, eyes blazing with madness. She raised her weapon first. A single gunshot rang out. Olivia screamed as Ryan pushed her down, the bullet shattering the mirror behind them. He fired back, hitting Ava's arm. She stumbled, blood mixing with rain, but didn't stop. "Do you think you can erase me?" she spat, her voice shaking. Olivia stood, trembling but defiant. "No, Ava. You erased yourself." Sirens wailed outside. Red and blue lights flashed across the wet glass. Ava turned toward the sound, clutching her bleeding arm, and ran down the stairs into the storm. By the time police stormed the house, she was gone. Again. And as the rain fell harder, Olivia realized this wasn't the end of Ava's madness. It was only the beginning of her final act. Thunder rolled over Hudson Valley like an angry god. Rain fell in thick sheets, turning the dirt road into rivers of mud. The power was still out, and inside Ryan's guest house, chaos had taken over. "Lock the back door," Ryan shouted to the guards as he pulled Olivia toward the hallway. "She's close. Don't let her circle around." Olivia's heart pounded so hard she could barely breathe. The single black glove on the coffee table still burned in her mind. Ava had been inside. She'd touched her world again. Cole's voice came through the radio static. "We're 5 minutes out. Hold your position." But Ava Monroe wasn't waiting. Outside, through the downpour, her figure moved like a shadow, thin, wild, determined. She'd stolen a guard's coat and slipped between the trees, blending into the storm. Her lips twisted into a cold smile. "You think you can trap me? I taught you how to lie, Olivia. You'll never see me coming." Inside, Ryan loaded his old handgun, checking the chamber. "If she comes through that door, I'm ending this tonight." Olivia shook her head, voice trembling. "No killing, Ryan. I won't have more blood on my hands." He stared at her. "Then you'd better pray we get to her first." The wind howled, slamming the shutters open. Olivia flinched, catching a glimpse of lightning. Then a reflection. Someone moved in the glass. "Ryan," she screamed. The window shattered as Ava lunged through it, rain and glass flying everywhere. Guards rushed in, shouting, but Ava was faster. She slammed one to the ground, grabbed his gun, and fired a warning shot into the ceiling. "Drop it," Ryan barked, aiming at her. Ava's wet hair clung to her face, her voice a growl. "After everything you took from me, you think I'll just walk away?" Olivia stepped forward slowly. "You did this to yourself, Ava, all of it." Ava laughed, bitter and broken. "I made you famous. Without me, you'd still be some nobody designing kitchens." "You made me a survivor," Olivia said quietly, "and you made yourself a ghost." For a moment the two women just stared at each other, the rain, the thunder, the shared madness of everything between them. Then headlights flashed outside. Cole's SUV screeched to a stop, agents pouring out with weapons drawn. "Drop it, Monroe," one yelled. Ava turned sharply, fury and panic colliding in her eyes. Ryan moved to disarm her, but she fired. The gunshot echoed through the storm. Ryan stumbled back, blood blooming across his shoulder. "Ryan!" Olivia cried, catching him before he fell. Ava froze, eyes wide, realization dawning too late. The agents swarmed, tackling her to the ground. The gun slid across the wet floor, spinning until it stopped at Olivia's feet. Ava screamed as they dragged her outside into the rain, her voice raw with rage. "You'll never be free of me, Olivia. Never!" Olivia dropped to her knees beside Ryan, pressing her hands to his wound. His breathing was shallow but steady. "Stay with me," she whispered. "You promised we'd see the sunrise." Outside, the storm began to break. Rain softened into mist, and somewhere far off, the first hint of dawn touched the sky. Because even in the darkest chase, the light was still coming. The storm had passed, but the chaos hadn't. Red and blue lights flashed against the drenched trees as paramedics lifted Ryan Matthews onto a stretcher. Olivia Bennett walked beside him, soaked and trembling, her hands still streaked with his blood. "Please," she whispered, gripping his hand. "Please don't leave me too." Ryan's eyes fluttered open, weak but steady. "I'm not going anywhere," he murmured. "You still owe me that sunrise." The medics loaded him into the ambulance. Cole approached, his face grave. "They got her, Liv. Ava's in custody again. It's finally over." Olivia looked down at her blood-stained hands. "Nothing's over until he's safe." Hours later, fluorescent lights replaced the storm's darkness. The sterile smell of the hospital hit Olivia like a memory she didn't want. Another night, another life, another heartbreak. She sat outside Ryan's operating room, staring at the floor, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles went white. Margaret arrived, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "You did everything you could, sweetheart." Olivia shook her head. "He almost died because of me. Everyone around me gets hurt." Cole joined them, lowering himself into the chair beside her. "Don't blame yourself for her madness. You didn't create Ava Monroe, greed did." Before Olivia could answer, Detective Mark Ellis approached. "We've secured Monroe in federal custody, but she's asking for you." Olivia's head snapped up. "For me?" Ellis nodded. She says she won't speak to anyone else. Cole stood immediately. Absolutely not. She's manipulating you. But Olivia's voice was calm. Maybe. Or maybe she's finally ready to end this. Minutes later, she entered the secure ward. Ava sat handcuffed to a hospital bed, her face pale, a bruise darkening her cheek. Even now, there was a flicker of defiance in her eyes. You look different, Ava said. Free. I hate it. Olivia didn't rise to the bait. Why call me here? Ava smirked weakly. To give you what you've been chasing. The truth. Silverline wasn't just laundering money. They were buying silence. Politicians, cops, reporters. Damien and I were pawns. Why tell me now? Olivia asked. Ava's smile faded. Because you won. And for once in my life, I don't want to die a liar. Olivia's expression softened. Not pity, not forgiveness, but something close to closure. Then tell them everything. I already did, Ava whispered. Check with Ellis. As Olivia turned to leave, Ava called after her. You're stronger than me, Olivia. But don't fool yourself. You'll never forget me. Olivia paused at the door. No, she said quietly, but I'll stop letting you live here. She tapped her chest. Inside me. Outside the room, Ellis nodded. She's telling the truth. Silverline's entire network is unraveling. Olivia exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. Then it's really over. Hours later, Ryan opened his eyes in recovery, pale but alive. Olivia sat beside him, exhaustion and relief mingling in her smile. You came back, she whispered. I told you, he said softly. I'm not done building with you yet. She squeezed his hand, tears filling her eyes. And for the first time, Olivia realized that survival wasn't her story anymore. Rebirth was. Weeks passed, and summer draped itself gently over New York City. The chaos had finally settled into quiet. For the first time in years, Olivia Bennett woke without fear. She no longer checked the locks twice or startled at every sound. The world felt lighter. Ryan Matthews was recovering well. The bullet had missed anything vital, though his shoulder still ached. Every morning, he walked through the small hospital garden, and Olivia joined him, their steps slow, steady, in rhythm with each other. You're healing fast, she said one morning. He smiled. You sound surprised. I'm just not used to people staying alive after knowing me, she replied with a half smile. He stopped, turning to face her. You didn't cause what happened, Olivia. You survived it. The words sank deep. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear them until now. Later that week, Cole invited them both to the Parker estate for dinner. Margaret cooked, filling the house with the warm scent of rosemary and bread. The brothers raised a toast in her honor. To Olivia, Liam said, lifting his glass, the woman who stood against monsters and won. Olivia smiled shyly. I didn't win alone. After dinner, as laughter filled the air, she slipped outside to the balcony overlooking the city. The skyline glittered like a promise. Ryan joined her quietly, leaning on the railing beside her. I used to look at lights like these, he said, and feel lonely no matter how bright they were. Olivia looked at him, understanding that loneliness too well. Now? He turned to her, eyes soft. Now I see them, and I think maybe they're shining for a reason. She smiled, her heart warming in a way it hadn't since before Damien, before the violence, before everything broke. Days turned into weeks. Olivia threw herself into her work again. Olivia Bennett Interiors gained new clients, families, small businesses, people drawn to the warmth her designs carried. She poured her soul into every project, using color to heal what words couldn't. Ryan often stopped by, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with flowers. For the artist who rebuilt my world, he'd tease. And each time she'd blush, though the pain behind her smile slowly faded into peace. One evening she stood alone in her studio, reviewing a design proposal. On the desk lay a small velvet box. Ryan had left it earlier with a note, for the woman who reminded me that broken things can still be beautiful. Inside was a simple silver necklace with a small sun pendant. Olivia pressed it to her heart. For the first time, she didn't cry. She simply smiled. Margaret walked in quietly, watching her daughter's expression. You look happy, she said softly. Olivia nodded. I think I finally am. Margaret wrapped her arms around her. You deserve every bit. Later that night, Olivia and Ryan walked along the Hudson, hand in hand. The sky reflected on the river like liquid gold. Ryan squeezed her fingers gently. You know what I think? What? That the past can't hurt you anymore. Olivia looked up at him, her voice barely above a whisper. No, it can't. And as the lights of New York shimmered around them, Olivia Bennet finally stopped surviving and started living. Autumn came to New York like a soft sigh, painting the city gold. Olivia Bennet walked through Central Park, crunching leaves under her boots, her hair catching the light. A year ago she'd been broken, terrified to breathe. Now she felt alive again. Her company was thriving, her name cleared, and Ava Monroe's chapter had closed for good. But the best change wasn't fame or freedom. It was peace. It was Ryan. They had grown inseparable since the hospital. He was steady, grounding, and real in ways Olivia never believed men could be again. Together, they had rebuilt their lives, one quiet day at a time. That afternoon, Ryan called. "You free tonight?" Olivia smiled. "For you? Always." "Good," he said, voice warm. "Wear something you love. I've got a surprise." Hours later, Ryan drove her north toward the Hudson Valley. The car followed familiar roads, the same ones that once led her to fear. But tonight, they glowed beneath string lights and crisp air. When the car stopped, Olivia gasped. It was the house, the one she'd designed for Ryan, their first project, their shared beginning. Only now it looked different. Lanterns lined the path, candles flickered along the terrace, a gentle melody played from somewhere unseen. Ryan extended his hand. "Walk with me?" She nodded, heart pounding. They moved through the house, room by room. Every space told a story, photos of laughter, sketches she'd drawn framed on the walls, flowers she loved in vases of soft gold. It wasn't just a house anymore, it was a home. When they reached the terrace, the valley stretched below, bathed in moonlight. Ryan turned to her, nervous in a way she'd never seen. "I used to think rebuilding meant fixing what broke," he began softly. "But you showed me it means creating something entirely new. You took pain and turned it into beauty, Liv." Olivia blinked back tears. "Ryan?" He dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside gleamed a simple diamond ring, elegant, timeless, and bright as the woman who'd survived the storm. "Olivia Bennet," he said, voice trembling. "You are proof that light can rise from the darkest places. Will you marry me?" For a long moment, the world seemed to pause. The night air shimmered around them, the sound of the river below whispering like memory. Olivia's breath hitched. The year of pain, love, loss, and healing flashed behind her eyes. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that reached her soul. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times, yes. Ryan slipped the ring onto her finger, standing to pull her into his arms. Laughter and tears mixed as the lanterns flickered brighter, the valley wind carrying their joy into the night. From a distance, Cole, Liam, Noah, and Margaret watched from the porch, smiling quietly. For them, too, this wasn't just a love story, it was a victory. As the stars blanketed the sky, Ryan pressed his forehead to hers. "You're home now," he whispered. Olivia closed her eyes. "I finally am." And under the golden glow of the Hudson Valley, the woman who once lost everything found forever instead. The morning sun rose over Hudson Valley like a promise kept. Mist drifted across the hills, soft and silver, wrapping the world in quiet peace. Inside the glass-walled home she had once designed for another man, Olivia Bennet stirred awake in Ryan Matthews' arms. It had been 6 months since the night of the proposal. 6 months since she stopped running from her past and started walking toward her future. Their wedding had been small, just family, a few close friends, and laughter that felt like sunlight. Margaret had cried through the entire ceremony. Cole had walked Olivia down the aisle, his hand trembling just a little when he said, "You've always been the strongest of us." Now the house was filled with warmth and life. Olivia's design firm had expanded across the East Coast, known not for extravagance, but for compassion. Her motto, "Spaces that heal," was printed on every wall of her studio. Ryan walked in carrying 2 mugs of coffee, wearing that soft grin that always made her heart ease. "You're up early," he teased. She smiled, brushing her hair back. "I didn't want to miss the sunrise. It feels like the first one of my life." They stepped onto the terrace, watching the horizon glow gold and pink. Ryan slipped his arm around her shoulders. "You know," he said, "when I bought this land, I thought I was building a refuge. Turns out I was building the rest of my story." Olivia leaned against him. "And what's the next chapter?" He grinned. "That depends. How do you feel about a nursery?" Olivia froze, eyes wide. "Ryan." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small envelope. "Doctor's note. We're officially expecting." Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could speak. She laughed, shaking her head. You're serious? He nodded, his voice warm. Serious as the sunrise. Olivia pressed her hand over her heart, overcome. After everything I lost, I never thought this day would come. Ryan kissed her forehead. Maybe sometimes the universe waits until we're strong enough to hold joy again. They stood together as the valley woke around them. Birds calling, wind rustling through the trees. It was quiet, and it was perfect. Later that afternoon, family gathered to celebrate the news. Margaret cooked too much food, Liam brought champagne, Noah played music, and Cole, ever the protective brother, pretended not to cry when Olivia told him she was naming the baby Hope. As evening fell, Olivia slipped away to the garden behind the house. The air smelled of roses and rain. She knelt by a small stone engraved with simple words. For the child who gave me strength to live, she whispered. I kept my promise. I built the life you made me brave enough to dream. The wind stirred, soft and tender, as if answering her. When she stood again, Ryan was there, waiting. They walked back to the house hand in hand, the lights glowing warmly ahead. At the threshold, Olivia paused, looking out at the world she'd rebuilt from ashes. After everything, she said softly, I think I finally understand what peace means. Ryan smiled. Tell me. It's not forgetting the pain, she whispered. It's learning to love again anyway. And as the sun sank behind the valley, Olivia Bennett's story didn't end. It bloomed. So that's it, my dear friends. Our story has come to an end. And if you're still here listening right now, maybe something in Olivia's journey touched your heart. Just a little. Because deep down, we've all carried our own scars, haven't we? This story reminds us that healing isn't about forgetting the pain. It's about learning to live beautifully with it. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, what stands in the way becomes the way. Every storm we survive shapes the strength we carry forward. Olivia found peace not by erasing her past, but by embracing it. And so can you. If this story moved you, even for a moment, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep building a space here where stories heal, where broken hearts learn to rise again. You're not alone, and your sunrise is still waiting.